This girl? I immediately thought it was her, but when she saw me, she didn't understand why I was there. I remember this girl telling me that even children are allowed to go on raids. If you wake up as a child, there's no law against going on raids. When I met her outside the school, she didn't understand what was happening. After all, the hunter her teacher wanted her to meet was me. Taking my phone out of my pocket, I showed her a picture of my sister and asked her, "You two are friends, aren't you?" When she saw the picture, she realized that maybe I was Jean's brother. One day, she visited me in the hospital with her, but she didn't see my face. She started asking me if I was Jean's brother. Then it became clear why I knew her teacher, but I answered that we didn't know each other at all. This girl started to say that she didn't know what her teacher had told me, but that she wasn't planning on going back to school and wasn't going to give up hunting. However, I convinced her and asked her that, after all, she is a rank hunter. In normal attacks, they don't work on monsters. She needs magical weapons. If she ends up buying it will wear out quickly, and she will have to buy a new one. That kind of business doesn't make money, so she plans to fight with her bare hands. I asked her this question, and she shouldn't even dream of becoming a full-time hunter just because she got some money from our raids. She started asking me to stop lecturing her. This is where I didn't realize she was pretty persistent, and I told her that I was the same way, and she shouldn't worry because I wasn't going to convince her to quit hunting. After all, it's hard to accept reality until you see the cold and cruel world with your own eyes. She asked me why I was here, and I told her that I will turn her in a great hunter. At the same moment, a plane was arriving at the airport without business at the time, and a man from United States came out of it. The atmosphere there was a little different from that of the United States. He visited South Korea earlier than he expected. But suddenly the guy with the glasses heard the voice of a man approaching him. As soon as he turned around, he saw an old acquaintance and asked him what the Korean Hunter Guild was doing here. The other man replied that the hunters, the essence of oversight, had come to meet and observe the S-ranked hunters who had arrived in Korea. At one point, a man with glasses approached and began to say that he still worked for that old geezer chairman. If it had been him, he would have cut off his left hand and made sure he could do nothing without his right and taking over everything. A man from the Hunter Guild asked how long he planned to stay here. The other guy said he wasn't going to stay long in Korea and would return as soon as business was done here. But the Korean Guild guy asked the businessman who left his homeland, but came here from the United States, and whether it was related to Hunter Sun Gin Woo and Hunter Gin Ho. Suddenly, the other guy realized that, as expected of the department member, he was asking what he already knew. Immediately, he turned around to ask if he could stop him, but department member said he was just following his duties. Dong-soo put his hand on the inspector and said he liked him and made an offer. "How about joining the Scavenger Guild? After all, we can take better care of him than that old man." But the inspector began to ponder the fact that Srang hunter Dong-gu and his brother were suspected of killing a lot of hunters. This lizard that throws off his tail is the reason they couldn't start the investigation. After all, they really are blood brothers. Even their insensitivity after the brutal killings seems just despicable trash. While a blue portal was open in a remote place, I met with the head of the 2nd Supervisory Unit, along with my sister's girlfriend, his assistant. The department head realized that a high-ranking girl had come with me, and there was nothing special about it. He realized that he should not jump to conclusions like in Sun Jin Wo Hunter case. He was surprised when he received a call from Hunter Jin Woo offering to try out a new recruit since it was a request from Hunter Jin Woo. He accepted it without hesitation. The chief of the 2nd Department, An Sang-min, knew that the girl who came with me must be interested in the White Tiger Guild. What's more, training for recruits was underway. It is good if he is interested after he sees the excellent training system of the White Tiger Guild. He has already explained it to other hunters, and there is no to worry about it. He went on to say that an area with a high concentration of gates does not have many people who choose to live there, and 80% of homeowners have already left. They say it was decided to close some areas completely. The gates are an ideal place for field testing, and here they opened just in time. But suddenly, some guy joined us and said it was 9 o'clock, and it was time to stop talking. We should start getting into the gate already. After all, he wasn't here for a picnic. I asked the Chief Sang-min who he was, and he said he was their new ranking recruit. But he seemed offended that he accepted my request and said that this dungeon wasn't for those who came to fool around. I started to look closer at that guy and realized that he had a tank profession and was part of that group as a first-rank recruit. And there were 12 of them in all. The department head began to say that this might seem a little redundant. How many hunters are involved in gate closing? But there are still new recruits, and they need to gain experience with dungeons first. I contradicted him, however, and told him we should bring 12 here. If the raid is too easy, the effect of such training will greatly diminish. Besides, my partner would more quickly understand difference between herself and the other hunters, and understand how helpless the hunters of a lower rank in the dungeon are. The assistant chief asked me to watch the raid from the sidelines if it gets too easy. And so we began to enter this portal, and I was the last one to go. Just as I was fully into the portal, I got this weird feeling, and the gate started to change its color to red. Everyone who was outside began to realize that this couldn't be. After all, the size of the gate fluctuated like waves, and something was wrong. It began to feel like the gate was completely different from what it had before. Yeah, plus an ominous feeling had taken hold of me, and I needed to get out of there as soon as possible to make things go back to normal. The last thing I could was for the chief to get the main group immediately, and that was all I could say because the portal closed. Those guys outside didn't know what to do now. After all, Hunter Jean had been sucked into the gate. That's a problem that can't be solved just by calling in the main group. I decided to call the head of the guild directly, and as soon as the guild head picked up the phone, he was told that it was a red gate. But he didn't understand how a red gate could even appear in this place, and if it was true, he had to check it out in person.